appears. The village girls tell Ashitaka something strange is happening at the outskirts of the village. So Ashitaka climbs up to the watchtower. There he sees a Tatari god or a demon breaking dorui or earthwork fortification and enter into the village. This is how the Tatari god looks like in this scene. This is the picture from above. You see how the Tatari god has many legs and crawls on the ground in a furious speed, and see how their legs are surprisingly long. A Tatari god is not a single creature, but a state where numerous monstrous beings that look like snakes or earthworms cling onto a giant wild boar. The reason why you can't tell whether it has 6 or 8 legs is because it represents a demon spider. So what's a demon spider? It's a derogatory term for the powerful families or native tribes who disobey the imperial family. People curse them by saying they're demon spiders. There's a legend that those who disobeyed the imperial families were defeated by Minamoto no Yorimitsu as monsters who attempted to turn Japan into a world of demons. Miyazaki depicts a world where the story of Ashitaka defeating a huge spider becomes distorted over time, and in the end, authorities turn it into a story about General Minamoto defeating a demon spider. But it's supposed to be a joke for Miyazaki rather than a serious interpretation. But once again, because it's too advanced, we don't get it. And from around the time he made Princess Mononoke, he became Isao Takahata-ish, meaning he started creating his work without thinking whether people would get it or not. That's because he learned that if he made everything easy to understand, then he would lose the inner energy to want to make something. So since then, Miyazaki became not mean, but a creator who makes everything that he wants to make but does not explain them all. Before he was exactly the opposite. When he made Castle in the Sky, he endured his temptations to do what he really wanted to do, so everything could be depicted clearly. Which you can see in a line by Dola, who speaks her mind to herself and says, "He can be useful, so we might as well take him with us." So Miyazaki separated what can be shown in his movies or not, instead of frequently using straightforward expressions. However, after Princess Mononoke, he started saying there's nothing that cannot be shown. Kids need to see everything, even something harsh, but I won't show them in a straightforward manner. As a result, the way he depicted the demon spider makes it hard for us to notice it. It's like Miyazaki winking at us and hinting, speaking of demon spiders, they're about the barbarians in Tohoku region, right? Or they're used as a metaphor for the extermination of barbarians in the picture scrolls of Heian era. Shouldn't everyone know that? Now, to help the girls who are attacked by the Tatari god, Ashitaka kills it with a bow. First, he shoots one of its eyes, then between the eyebrows to kill it. As a result, the curse of the Tatari god wraps around Ashitaka's right arm like a snake, leaving a black bruise. This whole sequence is shown very quickly, in the first 3 minutes. After that, the wise woman, or hisama in Japanese, which means princess, and who is the elder of the village, rushes to the site. Then the wise woman tells the Tatari god, whose slimy stuff has come off and who has turned back into the giant wild boar, "O nameless god of rage and hate, I bow before you. A mound will be raised and funeral rites performed on this ground where you have fallen. Pass on in peace and bear us no hatred." Which means, we will make a large tomb at where your corpse lies and pray to your soul, so please do not curse us anymore. The tomb is kind of like an ancient Japanese tomb. She says she's gonna build it, so please do not curse us. Then the huge wild boar god who is about to die suddenly starts talking. "Disgusting little creatures, soon all of you will feel my hate and suffer as I have suffered. and it disintegrates. When he does that, the voice of the wild boar is so deep and rich. It's because, adding to the usual microphone, the voice actor had another microphone taped onto his throat, which picked up the vibration of the throat as well as the voice simultaneously, and they mixed the voice and the vibration to create the effect. Therefore, the breathing sounds contribute to the eeriness of the line which says, "disgusting little creatures." After saying that, the wild boar god disintegrates in a very grotesque way. When it dissolves, you can see the teeth exposed, which makes it look like it's smiling. This is the genius of Miyazaki. Miyazaki started drawing scenes from Part A, so the depiction of Part A and Part B is simply just beautiful. The first 1 hour of the movie is just amazingly drawn. The wild boar god is then reduced to bones, and Ashitaka is cursed by its last word, "I will curse you." Now, a meeting is held that night inside the shrine of the village. If you look inside this shrine, you can see a rock sticking out in the center of the wall. This is a sacred body of worship. The villagers have built a raised floor-style shrine attached to the rock. And do you see a desk in front of the rock that stretches out? There's a very low table, right? I know it's kind of hard to see because it's in the shadow of Ashitaka. In other words, the wise woman who serves gods always sits facing this rock. Therefore, it is clear that this rock is a sacred body of worship. At the end of the scene, Ashitaka cuts off his top knot. Even then, Ashitaka puts the top knot on top of this desk after cutting it off, bows, and leaves. So it's clear that it's a sacred object. And this is important because the village enshrining a rock means that a megalithic civilization still remains there. In fact, something that looks like Stonehenge was found in Aomori, so we know that Ashitaka's village is far back in Tohoku region today. And there are people who disobeyed Yamato imperial court. The time when Japanese people enshrined huge rocks was long before the introduction of Buddhism to Japan. Like in Buddhism, it is considered evil in Jomon world to worship something man-made, or people themselves, or wise people who finished religious training. The world view of Jomon people is like, what's really amazing is in nature, so what the hell are you doing worshipping mere humans? Or why appreciate things that only humans made? But Jomon people were kind of strange, because while they said that, they also made those super cool looking earthenware. Anyway, so they worship megaliths as their divine symbol. And you can see a piece of Jomon pottery in the back of the room too. The fact that there is a piece of Jomon pottery here is a more obvious evidence than talking about megalithic culture that these people are the survivors of Jomon people. From the 1980s to 1990s, when Princess Mononoke was made, there was a controversial theory among the Japanese archaeological community that Ainu or Emishi clan who lived in Tohoku region were the survivors of Jomon people. I'm not sure about this theory, and it no longer seems mainstream, but Miyazaki makes the movie solely based on this theory. So, please think that Princess Mononoke is a story about Jomon people.